So I started off, how many people have been to a meeting like this before? And there was a response of nobody has. So I'm assuming by that the previous owner did not have a meeting with anybody in the customers. What I do is I have a meeting once a year with all my utilities. Generally they're in the wintertime when the snowbird friends are around. And it's a yearly update to keep everybody abreast of what activities are happening and give folks a chance to ask questions. I generally try to break these meeting downs into old business and new business. It's a format that people are familiar with when you have your business meetings or what have you. So I have about roughly a 10-minute presentation I like to give. And then once I get done with that, we will sit here until everybody has asked their questions, and I've done my best to answer them. I would tell you I don't have the answers to all questions, but we'll do what we can. One of the issues that's out there is you notice in your monthly bills, you've been getting a refund. You've been getting a little bit of credit back. That is the result of the previous owner not reducing the rates that recovered rate case expense. It's something I inherited when I came in. The way it was set up was I was contacted by the Florida Public Service Commission. They may be aware of this issue. We worked together and made out this process. It was approved by them. So what happened is we're taking the total rate, the total amount that you were overcharged, which is roughly $6,800. And that's being divided up to each customer by month. So what happens before the refund is actually put on your bill, I send it to the Florida Public Service Commission. They approve it. It's credited to your bill. Your bill is mailed out to you. And we're going to do that every month. As it's planned now, it's going to go all the way through the month of December. At the end of December, or sometime shortly thereafter, the Public Service Commission is going to send an auditor to my office to audit these books and make sure the refunds have been distributed correctly. If there's anything that my staff has messed up on that needs to be redone, we will do that in the January billing cycle, hopefully. And if their audit comes out successful, then all the customers will have received the amount of money that they were overcharged by the previous owner. I have some stuff. I'm gonna put up a little chart right here right now. I hope. As you know, the utility is regulated by the Florida Public Service Commission. Some people don't know this, so I always bring this with me. The top up there is the Florida Public Service Commission's website. You're welcome to go to that at any time. It's all public record. Each year, the utility is responsible for producing an annual report. It shows the financial part of the utility. That has been filed. I'm sure it's not on their website yet, but in the future, I would say probably give them a couple, 3 weeks. You can go to that website and see the utility's annual report. The customer refund docket, whenever you go to the website and want to find out any of this public information, you have to have a docket number. So the docket number for the you know what? I got that backwards. Let me correct this. I'm sorry. This is refund. This is transfer. Okay, that was my mistake. I apologize. But if you can use those docket numbers to go to the commission website and pull up all this information. 99.99% of everything that the utility does is public records. The only thing that's exempt is like my social security number and those type of things. So that's generally exempt from what everybody else goes through. So the transfer docket is 150091-WS. The refund docket is 010869-WS. So you as customers certainly have the right to, if you want to write a letter to the commission or call them and do whatever, make a complaint, say something good, I hope, and what have you. That's the avenue that you do it in with those docket numbers. That's going to get you to where that information needs to be recorded. And so I just explained the refund. Like I say, that should be completed by December. They're going to do a full audit. And again, all this will be on the public record. And the money that you've been overcharged should be refunded. The previous owner had some issues with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, DEP. And their issue was...
No joke.
Yeah. The issue is that the hydro-pneumatic tank that's at the well, the big white long tank, has to be, by Florida law, has to be inspected every 5 years. The previous owner was roughly 2 years past the inspection point. So this is something that I inherited. So I had the tank inspected and cleaned, and the short run of it is the tank failed the inspection. It was not, in my opinion, was not properly maintained in the past like it should have been. So the tank is going to have to be replaced. What that does is it forces me to file for what they call a staff assisted rate case. I have not done that yet. When I file for it, we will send out a customer notice, so everybody will get a notice that that's been done. And then generally, the way the staff assisted rate cases work, in a quick overview, as I file an application, we send everybody a notice. The Florida Public Service Commission will send auditors to my office to audit the books of the company. Then they will go back and design a rate. Within this rates will be replacing the hydro-pneumatic tank that's there, and what other considerations that they have. And then they have a customer meeting. So they'll have a meeting similar to this, and you can provide input. There'll be a lot of documentation that they'll give you, and then you have an opportunity to directly talk to the folks at the Florida Public Service Commission. So I do not, when I do file for the staff assisted rate case, they will give me a docket number, and I'll be happy to make that available to you, but it'll be a docket number similar to those. And then you are able to follow the docket along if you want. If there are some people that are inclined to do this and they like to look at this stuff. So as documents are submitted and as they do things, it's put into the docket file. And again, it's all public record. Everybody can look at it. I wanted to tell you some things that I've done in the short time that I've owned the system, which is my way of working out these bugs that are in the system. When I first took over the system and went to the water pump, only part of the reason why you guys were having a lot of bad smell is because they had the wrong chlorine pump there. As you know, the water is disinfected with chlorine, sodium hypochlorite, and they had the wrong pump there. So I immediately installed a new pump and did a little bit of repiping. What it does is it allows me, theoretically, to put less chlorine into the system, but more effectively. So over the long run, it will save us all some money. Those things have to be worked out. It's a dial a little bit here and a dial a little bit there to fine tune the chlorine with the amount of usage. And while we were there, we had. If you remember, I sent you a letter saying that we were going to shut the system down to have the tank cleaned and checked. While I was there, we took some opportunity to put in some new flushing valves in the system. Allows us to flush the system a little bit better than what's been done in the past. That will help keep that new water in there, and hopefully it should cut down on the smell that you're having. And there was some old galvanized pipe that was at the wellhead that had some severe rust problems. So we got all that replaced while we were there. So we shouldn't have any failures there. When I first got here, the lift station that goes into the plant, there was one pump. They're required to have two pumps in the lift station. There was one pump that was not working. We pulled that one out, got it rebuilt and put it back in. One of the pumps at the sewer plant itself was inoperable. That's been pulled out and repaired and put back in. And interestingly enough, this has never happened to me before, but I walked up to the water plant and I seen this box there, and I couldn't figure out what it was, and I finally pulled it out and got to looking at it and digging through it, and there was 2 blower motors in there. So I took them to my guy, and I had them both rebuilt with new bearings for $600. Those pumps are about $1,400 new a piece. So we have 2 backups. That's great news. That saves us all a lot of money. Also, on the property where the well site is, there was 3 pine trees that were right over the power line. The power line was running like this, and there's 3 pine trees right behind it. And I was deathly afraid with the storms and the rain we get in the summer that if one of the limbs came down and hit that power line, we were all going to be in trouble. So I worked with Joe, thank you, sir, and we got those taken care of. There was a tree on the property there that had been struck by lightning. So the utility and the homeowners were able to work together and get those taken down and get that problem removed, and I appreciate everybody's effort. So, there's a couple favors I'm going to ask of you guys. My personal preference is I'm going to install a bar screen at the sewer plant. What that does is it keeps things that people are not supposed to flush down the toilet out of the sewer plant. I call them chlorine wipes, but if you see little wipes you pull out of the jars, Lysol, my wife uses them, Lysol, and wipes down the counter with them. Those things, when you get them if you flush them down the toilet, they get into the sewer system and they wrap around the pumps. They make like a rope, because the pumps pump like this and it pumps everything out. And those are notorious for clogging up pumps. And they've got into the sewer plant over there, and the previous owner did not do anything about it, so I had to address it immediately. So we had the tanks cleaned. We pulled the pumps and got them all deragged. So that's done. What I'm asking of you is, please don't flush stuff down the toilet. It's not supposed to be down the toilet, because ultimately what you're doing is you're causing yourself to have more problems, because then I have to go pull pumps and clean it. It gets really expensive. And I would just appreciate if you don't do that.
Even if
So
it's flushable on it?
I'm going to answer your question as soon as I get to my presentation. Thank you. So what I'm going to do to try to mitigate some of that is I'm going to put a bar screen in there. We'll catch some of that. But what I can't control is what's in the lift stations before it gets to the sewer plant. It's probably pretty close to about $800 every time those pumps have to be pulled, deragged, and put back in. So I don't see it right now as a major problem, but while we're here and talking, please don't put that kind of stuff down the toilet. So that kind of takes care of old business. New business going forward, what I'd like to tell you is I try my best to communicate with customers and work with the utilities in every way I can. Previously, you were getting postcards as your little bill. They were getting lost in the mail, and people were putting them in the magazines, and I would get calls from customers say, hey, I got my neighbor's bill in my magazine, and some people wouldn't get theirs at all. So I decided to go to the envelopes. Now you're getting your bills in envelopes. I use those envelopes also as a way to communicate. I use those to not only put your monthly invoice in, but also to put in what I call stuffers. You'll see stuff like this. I'm sure you've all got them. So please look at that stuff. We also twice a year send you a little piece of paper just asking for an update in email addresses or telephone numbers. And we always have a little line on there about how many people in your household. We ask that question. I don't ask if there's 2 adults and a child, just how many general people. We ask that question because it applies directly to the permits we have with the water management districts and DEP. They always want to know that information. So, okay, back here in the back on that table over there, I have a pad. If you need to update any of your information, on the yellow pad is a place to update your information. And if you'd like to be notified by email of any type of emergency we have, please put your email there. On the white pad is if you want to have your bill emailed to you, you can put your email there and we will email your bill to you. If you choose to have your bill emailed to you, we're not going to send you a paper copy, okay? Generally, like I say, as part of the communications, I know that you folks have a board of directors, HOA. If you want me to come to your meetings, if there's questions or something you want to talk about, I'll be happy to come. Please, give me a couple days' notice, and I'll be more than happy to come and answer your questions and do what I can. As I mentioned before, the utility has a YouTube channel. This meeting will be on the YouTube channel. And if you know of anybody that who wasn't here tonight, who wants to watch the meeting, they're more than welcome to do that. And as I said before, as we're doing projects out there and fixing stuff, we put that on the YouTube channel so people can have an idea and see what's going on. Generally, what I try to do is shut down the system one time per year for maintenance and repairs and anything I need to do. That's been a good avenue for me because I can send you letters in advance saying on a certain date, we're going to shut the system down. We usually do it from like 9:30 to 4, try not to inconvenience people. And then we go out and I get all hands on deck and we go out and make repairs and do whatever else we need to do. The time when if you come home, there's no water, or you're there and the water's out, it's usually because somebody's broke a water line and we need to shut off the system to fix it, or there's some kind of thing that was unplanned. So we have somebody come by here 6 days a week. So we try our best not to inconvenience folks any more than we can. But there are things that happen that are beyond my control. I don't break them, but I have to fix them. So on your seat is these little flyers. These are things like you will see in your envelopes. I try to put this stuff in there every now and again just to remind people. This is the 811 program, which I'm a big believer in. It's run by the state of Florida. And basically what its purpose is that if you're going to go out in your yard and you're going to plant a flower, plant a tree, put in a fence post, whatever it is, call 811. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's a state-run program. And 811 will coordinate with all the utilities in the area, meaning water, sewer, electric, cable, telephone, gas, and we'll mark those lines. We'll mark where those lines are. So when you go dig a hole, you know that you're not interfering with any utilities. The flip side of that is that if you go out and dig a hole and you hit a utility line, then you're on the hook for it. And in my case, a water and sewer line is not necessarily that expensive. It would be expensive to repair, but cut a fiber optic line. And as one guy told me, I almost had to mortgage my house. So just be aware of that. It's a big program that I believe in. I can't see any residual results from it, but every day somebody does not call the office and say, I was putting in a new fence post and I busted the water line. To me, it's got to work. So I have these out here for you in your chairs. Please take them with you. They will be in the envelopes every now and again. I try to remind people, and I put up some banners, one at the water plant, one by the sewer plant today, just when people are driving by, trying to keep everybody conscious of it. I had a gentleman in one of my utilities over in Pasco County about 4 or 5 months ago decided that he needed to put in a new clothesline post. So he was in his backyard and he started digging and he hit a 6-inch water main. And he didn't call us immediately and tell us about it. He tried to get some folks to come over and fix it. And when they figured out they couldn't fix it because the water pressure was really high, they finally called the office. We estimate that he ran probably about 100,000 gallons of water on the ground before we even got there. By the time we got it dug up, we had to shut down the entire system, so everybody in the all 450 customers were inconvenienced. And by the time we got done, his bill was about $1,200. So that may be a little bit of an extreme example, but I hope I'm trying to make the point. Please call 811 and they will coordinate everything. It doesn't cost you a dime. It'll save us all a lot of time and heartache. And let's see. So I talked about the 811 program. I try to throw in a little bit of interesting facts, make it kind of fun, maybe as fun as this can be. But my computer system spits out an average bill, and the average bill for East Marion for this month was $52.45. So if your bill is higher than that, the Water Management District says we as consumers are allowed 150 gallons per day per person. So if you calculate that out, it's roughly 9,000 gallons a month for 2 people. Then you guys have the sewer on that side. I've had a couple people call about installing irrigation meters and then also meters to fill up your pool. If you're filling up your pool with your potable water coming out of your water meter, you're also paying for the sewer going back in. So depending on how much water you put into your pool, it may be advantageous for us to set out an irrigation meter. That way you're not paying for the sewer coming back. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know how many people knew that. I don't know what the previous owner done about that. But if that's something, if you want to go home and think about that, if that's a situation that you have, then we'll be happy to meet with you and talk to you and get that set up for you. So I'm going over my list here. I believe that's all that I have. What I'd like to do now is try to do my best to answer any questions that you have. I think you have one, ma'am. Go ahead.
How much is that tank gonna cost the people in Lakeview Woods, that new one? Approximately.
I don't know, and let me tell you why. The reason why is that what makes your water smell is a gas that's in the water. When that gas is exposed to the atmosphere, it creates that smell. It may be, and what I have to do is, I have to hire an engineer to come over and look at it. We have to test the water, take it back to a lab and test it. This may be an opportune time to put in another type of tank that releases that gas to the air, which should, along with the chlorine, should virtually take the smell out. I can't tell you that's the way it's going to be. It takes somebody way above my pay grade. It takes an engineer to figure this out, to test the water, look at the flows, and see how much water is going through, and if a tank can be put back in. The second part of that is it cost effective to do it? It may not be. So I have to go get all that figured out. But I'm going to explore that avenue to see if it's cost effective and if it can be done. If it can't be done, then if it can be done, it's going to take a permit modification from DEP. So that means I have to send all this stuff to DEP. They have to look at it, agree to it or not agree to it. If they agree to it, then we can do the change. If it's not advantageous, then we will do a like-for-like exchange with a tank. We'll just basically replace what's there. That does not take a permit modification, does not require an engineer to do all the stuff engineers do. So the long answer is, short answer is I don't know yet. I just gave you the long answer. It's just something that's going to develop with time. Okay. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Well, as best you could, yeah.
Mr. Parsons, did you have a question? Did you have a question, sir?
Okay.
Did you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, who else can I answer a question for? Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Our bill's consistently been $100 a month.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Could you speak up?
Our bill has been consistently $100 a month, and there's only 2 people in our house. And we don't understand why. You said the average bill is what, 54?
Is $52.45 is the average bill. Have you had your home checked for leaks? The one quick way you can do it, if you go out to the water meter has a big red hand that goes around. It's a single arm like a clock that tells you your gallons. Right beside it is a little tiny red one about that big. It's almost in a triangle shape. That's called a low flow indicator. What that tells you is that if that big red meter arm is not moving and a little red one is, that means there's low pressure, there's flow after the meter. That would indicate that you have a leak. So when the meter readers go out every month, they're supposed to look at that little red thing to see if it's turning. If it is and there's no usage, then it means there's a leak inside. You know, you can go to the Water Management District's website and there's a lot of facts on there about how they've calculated this stuff, but you know, they say a running toilet can burn up 400, 500 gallons of water a month.
Wow.
And a lot of times people, not a lot of times, but sometimes people have, leaks in their house that they don't know about. Maybe behind a wall, maybe up in an attic. I guess if it was up in an attic, you'd know about it, but behind a wall. But things like, running toilets can contribute to that. But it also goes to how much you do other things. How much do you water your plants with the water hose? How many times do you run your dishwasher? I was speaking with a woman one time who had a big family, and she was running her dishwasher 2 or 3 times a day.
Oh, my.
And doing a lot of laundry, and all that water consumption adds up. So I don't use, there's 2 people in your house, but maybe if you're out watering your plants for a half hour every day, you're using a lot of water. So I don't know about your particular situation. After the meeting, I'll be happy to get with you and get your information, and I'll go back and look at your bill, and maybe that can give me some kind of indication. You can hire a plumber. Nobody wants to do this, but you can always hire a plumber to come in and do a pressure check, and they'll put their little gauges and stuff on the hose bibs and inside the house, and back pressure it and test it for any leaks. People. You'd be surprised that, people that go out and water their plants, and the phone rings and they go answer the phone, they get to talking. As soon as you come back, it's a half hour later and you've run, 1,000 gallons of water out on the ground.
The water's running.
That happens a lot more than you ever think. And kids with, folks with kids out playing in the water hose. I mean, when I was a kid, we would play in the water hose all the time. That's what we did all summer long.
Yeah.
But when you get the bill, it's a little bit different. So.
What about if you go on vacation for 2 or 3 months and, you don't use but a week's worth of water? Will the water bill go down that much, or is there a basic rate that you're going to pay regardless?
That's a very good question. Let me explain that so for everybody can understand it. Rates are designed by the Florida Public Service Commission that for what you see is called the base facility charge. So the base facility charge is there whether you use a drop of water or not. Okay. That's the constant fee that goes through every month. And this is how the vast majority of rates are designed in Florida. Then they have the gallonage charge. So the gallonage charge is if you use a particular amount of water, and in your case sewer, then that charge goes up, and the more water you use, the more expensive it gets. So they do that as a way to curb people from just wasting water, to make it more expensive on the end. So you have those 2 fees. The reason I like to have these meetings in the winter time when the snowbirds are down here is because I make this speech. If you're going up north and you're so inclined, I will come out, or somebody from my staff, we will come out to your house, or if you're going on vacation for a week, and we will shut your meter off for free of charge.
Okay.
A lot of folks in my other utilities take advantage of that. And then when you're coming back, give us a call ahead of time and we'll turn it on. I have a policy in my company. This is not state law, it's just my policy. I do not turn on water to vacant homes, period. There's nothing you're going to say that's going to get me to turn on the water to a vacant home. Because it's happened one to me times where there's a pipe broke inside the house, somebody left the faucet on, and I turn the water out on the street, and I can't get into the house to see what's going on. Yeah. And next thing you know, the house is flooded, and it's my fault. Those days are over. So if you go on vacation or you go away up north and you want me to turn the water off, we'll provide that service for free. It's good on my side, so we don't have those problems going into the house. The only thing I ask is, don't expect me to come out the day you pull in the driveway without any notice and me to turn your water on, because that's probably not going to happen. You need to give me some time, give me some notice when you're going to come back. We'll meet you there. We'll turn the water on so you can go in the house and see if there's no leaks. Yeah. Then we can go away.
That's a good idea.
I understand, I'm not a building code expert, but I understand that by building code, you're supposed to have your own shut-off valve between the meter and your house. Most of the time, people utilize that and they leave the water on at the meter. You're more than welcome to do that, but in an effort of redundancy, we will come out and turn the water meter off for you, and we will lock it so you don't have. There are some instances where I've had kids going out playing during summertime, and they go on meter boxes and they turn the water on, or they play with the lock. That's happened multiple times, so that's why we choose to lock it for you.
And you turn it back on again for free as well.
when you're, yes ma'am, we'll turn it back on, no charge, when you're there. And you can go in your house and make sure there's no busted pipes. That reminds me, Mr. President, I wanted to,
What about an irrigation system? A separate irrigation system, a separate meter for an irrigation system,
yes,
cost of that?
I got to tell you, this utility is an unusual situation. There was something that happened in the past where a tariff amendment was done. And I wasn't a part of it, so I don't really know. But what I read in the tariff sheets, and I should have brought them with me, and I apologize I didn't. But they have something in there that mentions a long hookup was like $1,400, and a short hookup was a different price, and there was another kind of hookup that was a different price. To be honest with you, I really don't understand it. I need to kind of educate myself a little bit more to figure out what's going on. The maps that I inherited from the previous owner are not good at all. So I'm struggling a lot with that, trying to figure out how this would work. But we will get there. I've had a couple people ask me about that. And it seems to me that the phone calls I've had before were about people filling up their pools. So keep in mind that when I go if you want irrigation for your yard, I have to know how many square feet you're irrigating, what size your sprinklers are going to be, how many feet of pipe you anticipate having, so I can properly size the meter. So if you're going to irrigate your yard and I go put a standard 3/4 inch meter in there, it may not deliver the pressure you need to run your sprinklers unless you zone it out. But a lot of people don't like to zone it out. So the irrigation meter can be, the direct answer to your question is the irrigation meter can be done, but I just can't go out there and just hook up a piece of pipe and say good luck. I need to be able to properly size the meter and the PVC pipe, that goes out of it. So that way you got sufficient pressure to irrigate your yard. If you're only wanting a separate meter just for the pool, fill up the pool and not pay the sewer charge coming back, and you're not going to irrigate, I can do that with a standard 3/4 inch meter, and we don't have to do the long extension from the main water line. I can tee off of your water meter you have now, and if you're just going to, most people fill up their pools at nighttime, so if you're going to do that.
And I'll tell you something, we did that about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was really surprised at how little we paid for filling the pool. I thought it was going to be several hundred, and it was not.
Yeah, I believe the base facility charge for the irrigation meter is, I think it's $9.92 a month, or $9 and something change a month, and then you have the gallonage charge from there. But where you're saving the money is it's not going back down into the sewer. So that's something you're going to have to figure out how much gallons you use and how that math works out. And if you're only going to use it to fill up your pool, that's easy to do. If you want a full irrigation meter where I got to run either under the road or come off the main line and tap into your irrigation system, because now we have to have backflow prevention. I have to certify all this has been done, so the potable water system doesn't get contaminated. It's a pretty good process, and I don't mind doing it, and I'll be happy to do it for you. Part of the problem with me giving you a cost is I don't know how much you're going to irrigate. I don't know what size meter I have to put in there, and so I need to go that on a case-by-case basis. Yes, sir.
I already have an irrigation system in. Is there some way to set up an appointment or inspection so you can let me know what it would cost to put in a separate meter for that, since it's already have an irrigation system?
Yes, sir, I do. Do you currently have a well?
No.
How do you irrigate your yard now? Where's your water?
Lakeview.
Paying storage.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, we definitely need to get that straightened out for you. Let me meet with you after the meeting, and I'll get your name and address and stuff, and we'll set all that up. On that table over there is one of my business cards.
I got one.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
I'm already set up on email. I can just email you the address and pose the question to you by email if you want.
Yes, sir, that'd be great. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we live kind of towards the back of the subdivision. I've been talking to some other people here. Our water for the past 3 weeks has smelled like sulfur. I guess some people who live closer to the front, they don't have that. And you were just saying that to do all this stuff, to get the smell out of it, it's gonna take, are we gonna have sulfur water for the next year and a half? Or is there some way to take care of that now? Because just in the last 3 weeks, it's been stained with rust color all over the place, and that hasn't happened. Is there something that happened in the last 3 weeks that caused this that can be turned back?
In the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks that it has smelled. We can't even use our water. We can't brush our teeth. We're using bottled water to brush our teeth.
Well, okay. The water's not harmful. You can use it if you want.
Yes, but we can't. We
Yeah.
can't, physically, we can't use it.
In the last 3 weeks, there's nothing that we've done intentionally that would cause that. The operator's name is Steve. We installed new flushing valves, so that should have helped. In the backside down by the gate, we put a new flushing valve there. So what I need to do is contact Steve and get him to flush that line more. That will help a little bit.
We live right catty corner off of Northeast 7th Loop, right
Okay.
when you put one of those banners up. But they live just a couple streets up from that, more towards the front of the subdivision, and they don't have it. And there's a blue 2-story house. I know you don't know the people's names. They don't have it either. Just us towards the back, myself and Billy. They have
And
it.
there's a bunch of other neighbors that are away right now. And like it says, I live over on the other street from Marion. And like she says, for the last 3 weeks, the toilets smell like they haven't been flushed.
We went on vacation,
They turned
we
gray.
were gone for, 3 days, 4 days? We came back and our toilet was orange.
Yeah.
But when I live close to the lake, I'm the 11th house from the gate, and my water was bad too.
Okay.
And I live closer to the front, you might say, and it was icky.
Well, what I can immediately do is contact the operator first thing in the morning and get him to flush more. That will help. And the issue that I have with chlorine, we have to dial it a little bit at a time. Because what happens is if we put too much in there, this person can't breathe because the chlorine's so high, and the person in the back still has smelly water. So flushing will help that a lot. But you have to give me a little bit of time to keep dialing the chlorine up a little bit. And your feedback is important.
It needs to be flushed because like it says, it smells bad. I have toilets need scrubbed almost every day. It's like you're not even flushing.
Well, most of that,
You could take a bucket of water, fill it up for the dogs, and it's like somebody urinated in the bucket. It's not even clear.
yeah, most of that is rust that's coming out of the tank. The tank wasn't maintained in years past. It was never coated inside. So they never flushed the tank. When the crew that I had to come out and cleaned it, they had almost 2 5-gallon buckets just full of rust debris that was in there. It was never cleaned, never coated. So all that we had the tank, excuse me just one second, we had the tank, I had it pressure cleaned inside. So it should be a lot better than what it was, but it's not going to be good until the tank's replaced.
You were really good up until about 3 weeks ago.
So after a couple days from now, if it's still not any better, do we just shoot you an email and say, hey, this is Marie, and
Yes, please.
I live here, and okay.
Yes, please.
I
Yeah.
just needed to know who to communicate to.
Yep.
And I think the water pressure in the back is low too. Where I notice it more like when the washing machine's filling up. It takes longer for that washing machine to fill up than it used to.
Yeah. I have my operator and myself we randomly just go to houses and put a gauge on it. I haven't seen any low pressure problems around. I don't know what to say. When I first got here, we just randomly went around and tested homes. The water pressure at the tank, we actually kicked it up about 3 or 4 pounds. Part of the issue is, and I had to get an engineer to verify this, and I may be totally wrong, but when I look at this system, where that tank is, it doesn't sit very high. A lot of tanks sit up really high, so it gives that pressure going down, but Maybe that tank is exactly like it's supposed to be, I don't know, but when the engineer gets here, I'm gonna have him check it out. If that's something that we need to correct, we can correct it when the tank gets replaced. We can lift it up a little bit. But just, over my 25 years looking at it, just doesn't seem like it's right.
Now, you said the chlorine pump, you replaced that because it was the wrong pump.
Yes, they had,
Now, do you have a backup or as well, or is it just the one pump?
the chlorine pump?
Yeah.
No, it's just the one pump. Well, we have a backup on site. It's not plugged in. I keep one down at the sewer plant at the building down there.
I'm gonna ask a real dumb question.
Hang on, this gentleman was next. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Two questions. One was that you mentioned something right there. We have a jacuzzi in the back, okay? Now, if I wanted to run a water line just for that, in other words, is there a meter I can get? And what's the cost of the meter?
You're going to have to do your own math on that. The base facility charge is $9.92 a month. Then you have the gallonage charge on top of that. So I don't know how much water you would use in a jacuzzi, but it may not be advantageous to that. I'm sorry, ma'am?
235 gallons every 4 months. It may not really be worth.
Yeah.
Because I haven't noticed any difference, much difference in the cost of the water bill when we do fill it up. So it may not, because you're going to be charged a monthly charge, so 9-something plus.
Right.
I don't think it's going to make a difference. But I have a question about when do you anticipate the tank to be replaced? I know you have to go through a process and all that. Do you have any type of projected date, or not specific, but like month or whatever?
I don't. I can't answer that question. It depends on the engineers I get to come in, what they determine. If I wanted to buy the tank today, it usually takes 8 to 10 weeks for them to build it because they're all handmade. So if I wanted to buy it today, you're still looking at a couple months before it could even get installed. Tanks, because they have to be permitted and they have to be hand built, it's a long process. It's not something, even if I wanted to do, I can do today. I just can't go down and pick one off the shelf and have it installed. So it's something I'm aware of. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that when we put this tank back in, it's the correct one. It's got the proper permits. There's a whole process that goes along with that. It's a little bit of an inconvenience to do the tank because when a new tank is installed, it has to be set in, it has to be filled up and pressurized and disinfected. So you're all going to be under a boil water notice for 48 hours at least till they pull the samples. The operator comes, pulls the water samples to make sure the water is clean. They can put the tank into service. And of course, DEP is going to be out there and inspecting it and doing everything. So it's a whole long, big process. Yes, sir. You had two questions.
The question was that, do we have a backup generator out there for that stuff?
No, sir. No. The rule on generators is if you're serving 500 people or more.
I thought it was like, we were told like we were buying in there, it was like 100 homes or something like that.
I believe we have about 102 customers. Yeah. So the generator is about, I think it's 500 people. When I file for the Staff Assistant Rate case, the Public Service Commission will come somewhere around here and have a meeting with you guys. If you want to mention to them that you want to get a generator, that's not an issue. But they're going to put it in the rates, and it'll be a part of your rates, and they're really expensive.
Herb Hines, he's out of this picture completely now, correct?
Yes, the transfer docket is being filed with the commission. The commission can say yes or no. Theoretically, they could still say, no, we're not going to transfer it to Mike Smallridge, and it would go back to Mr. Hine. That theoretically could happen. Whether it will happen or not, I don't know. The paperwork I've submitted to them is on the website. You're welcome to look at it anytime you like. And if you want to make comments to the docket file, you're more than welcome to do that.
And when do you anticipate hearing regards to that submission?
I don't know. The commission, they have all that. That's their deal.
Do you have any idea, that ballpark or anything? Because from everything that you told us, and we already know, it's nothing but a thief anyways.
I'm hoping by the end of the year, but I can't. I can't answer for them. I don't know.
And I see, you know, you got a lot of surprises now too when you see what you gotta replace.
Yeah, this one is a little bit of a challenge, that's for sure.
Been dealing with it for years, so.
What I wanted to say to you, Mrs. President, is that I would be happy to come to your board meetings if you'd like me there. Give me a little bit of notice if I can be of help. From what I'm learning, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like people know more about you, the HOA, than they do about me, the utility, when they're moving into the subdivision. If you have no objections, what I'd like to do is provide you with a copy of our customer application, new customer application. If you don't mind, if you could put that on your website, that would help me when new people are moving in. They can go ahead and download it, and they'll have all the information they need. They know about the utility company. If that's okay with you and your folks, I'd be like to do that. And also, if you want to put a link on your website to the YouTube channel, you're more than welcome to do that, obviously. Thank you for reminding me. Does anybody else have any questions I can answer?
I was gonna say, there's extensive work, it seems like, that we're gonna be needing on our water system. I mean, maybe. And I was wondering, does the government or EPA or anybody allow us to submit some kind of grant or something that would help alleviate some of the monetary involved with it?
No, ma'am, none that I'm aware of.
None that you're aware of?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I didn't think so, but thank
It
you.
would be nice if there was.
Yeah.
If everybody's so inclined, I'd like to have another one of these meetings, kind of get back on my yearly schedule, probably in February, March. Hopefully we can get everybody to turn out in, maybe, I know Wednesdays are hard for people, but it was the only day this building was available, throughout the summer with their summer program. So maybe I can work with everybody and see what's a better time. We're never going to satisfy everybody, obviously. But I'd like to be able to, make sure as many people's here as possible. So please, again, if you'd like to have your bill emailed to you, that's on the white tablet back there. Please put your email address. If you'd like to be contacted by email about any emergencies or anything to do with the water and sewer system, please put your email address on the yellow tab. And if there's no more questions, thank you everybody for coming.
Well, thank you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too, sir.